Hi, I'm Sir Shadow from the game of Amtgard, and today we're going to talk about where does your back foot go in a standard stance. Assuming that you have your front foot pointed at the opponent, sometimes the question is where do I put my back foot for optimum mobility, balance, and structure? And the answer is depends on what you're doing. Sometimes having the feet almost in line is correct. Sometimes having your feet in a perpendicular line is correct. It depends on what you're doing. For example, if I'm fighting with a single sword, the usual posture would be a squared stance. The definition of a squared stance is if I draw a square on the ground, I put my front foot in the front right corner, my back foot would go in the back left corner of that square. Once it's there, the question is what I do with it. What's the best position? Do I want the toe pointed away? Do I want the toe pointed towards the opponent? Where's that toe go? And the answer is for each individual person, it's going to be slightly different, but the question is, can you bend your knees? When I have a good squared stance, I want to be able to bend my knees in the kind of a squat position and there be no strain. I don't want my knees coming together. I don't want my hips stretching out. I want to just be able to go down and up. If I have my foot turned too far away, then my hips get into a bind. If I have my foot turned too far forward, then my knees start coming together. When I'm trying to do the squat, it becomes really comfortable on the knees. So wherever I've got my feet, if I can go down and up, that's the correct position for that back foot. If I'm fighting with a spear, I'm going to want a more open stance. I'm going to want my feet more in a perpendicular line here. And once again, I want to be able to go down and up in a comfortable squat. If my heels aren't in a line, if my back heel and my front heel are not directly in a line, if my back heel is too far back, then that squat becomes real uncomfortable because my foot's behind. If my foot's too far over, the squat becomes a little more uncomfortable because my knees come together. So I want to have this easy movement where I can go just straight down and straight up with no strain on my knees or my hips. If I'm fighting with two swords, my squared stance is going to get a little bit shorter. But once again, the same rule applies. Where this back foot goes depends on where I can easily bend my knees. If I turn my foot too far away, that starts becoming a problem. My hips start feeling stressed. If my feet are both pointed too far forward, then my knees come together when I bend. And once again, that's a problem. If I'm fighting with a shield, sometimes my feet are going to almost be on the same line. I'm actually not going to have one foot way back. They'll be almost lined up with each other. But once again, if I can squat down and up, that's the correct position for that back foot. If I have it turned, or worse, if I have my heel off the ground, then when I go to bend my knees, that becomes a real big problem because everything binds up. So find you a spot where your heel is on the ground and you can do this knee bend, and that's going to be your optimum position for your back foot. So there's no one way of putting the back foot. It really depends on what you're doing, but as long as you can go down and up with no strain on the knees and no strain on the hips, then you found the correct position.